Hi everyone, Shane R. Monroe here. I'm back with part 2 of my NexFoto review. We've stumbled onto a problem, and it's not just me, it's other people. So what makes this great is that you can just turn it on and off with a remote. So this could be sitting across the room or somewhere else, and you can just bring it up and down using the remote. There's also tons of other features of the remote, such as the 4-direction pad, the OK buttons. All these things are important on the remote. And while there are buttons on the side of the big one here, it's still kind of clunky to try to use that. The remote is sort of the key element of this device. So what's the problem? Well, unfortunately, this remote seems to stop working. It de-pairs or something. And this is not just reported by me, it's been reported by other people. One of my best friends has had 3 of these things, 3 frame remotes with problems. So it's really strange. If you go looking around the internet, you won't find a whole lot. In fact, if you contact their technical support, they'll look at you like you're crazy. So it's either like every batch moving forward has had a problem and they just haven't gotten around to fixing it yet, or there's a serious problem that they just don't know about. So I will tell you there's a way to reset the remote to work. If you hold down the album button and down at the same time for about 3 to 5 seconds, it will restore the remote to working order. But that kind of sucks. I mean, this thing was $400. Now you'd expect for $400 the damn remote would work without having to reset it. And since this is such a key aspect of the device, what do? Do we not recommend this because it's badass outside of this problem? Or do we come up with another solution? A cheap-ass Amazon China remote. This is based on a dongle. So this uses a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, which you will then plug into the USB port on the device. You're probably saying, if I plug that in, where do I plug in the flash drive? Well, you'll have to use a splitter, or you'll need to just use internal storage, which, by the way, internal storage is fine. These posters are not very big, your photos aren't very big. But if you need to use both this remote at the same time as that storage medium of the flash drive, you'll probably need a splitter, and the splitters do work if you get the right one. So I'll leave links to all of this stuff in the description below. Amazon affiliate links, thank you so much for helping fund the channel. Now, along with this sort of kind of sucky news, I do want to talk about some positive stuff that I learned about this device and how to manage the photos and posters that you might be using for it in a sort of different manner that doesn't require you constantly keep shuffling the drive around, and you don't have to constantly plug a PC or something into it. By the way, you can plug this into a computer and access the memory storage, and you can plug a keyboard in if you don't want to buy one of these, and you only need to use it from time to time. You can plug in a keyboard as well. But enough of the negative Nelly stuff. Let's go look at some of the interesting things I found out about this using my little one in the office. Let's go. All right, so now we're in my office with the little one in the back, and you can see here there is a pop-up menu with the OK button. You can actually select to rotate the poster, you can pause the slideshow, you can delete the current poster, so that's kind of cool actually. There's actually a use for that. And then of course a couple of zoom options, but it's better than nothing. Now there's no real way to access this thing over Wi-Fi. You can't just go to it and dump pictures on it, which I thought was kind of weird, right? There's like no way to connect to the device directly over Wi-Fi and add more posters. So interesting, but here's how you can do it. So we'll go to settings, and under my frame there's a QR code that you can scan. Now you can use the app or you can use email, and we're going to talk about both of these a little bit more. But the app's pretty restrictive. You can just upload pictures from your phone. There's really nothing else you can do. But here is where you access all the photos. Now you can see here there's a collection of all. That means every single one of these subfolders is combined into a single view, which is what I think most people are going to want. Here is the internal storage. This is, basically where I put all the stuff. The trans flash or SD card, there's not one in there. You can actually access a USB drive. There's a folder. We're going to talk about that in a minute because that's kind of interesting. Your favorites. I think anything you send from the app goes under your name, but anything you send via email
comes in here. So once you add an email address, you'll get this email that says, hey, to add photos or videos, just email them to this address, sort of like the Kindle does, right? I've obviously obfuscated some things here, but essentially the idea is mail it to this email address up to 200 megabytes. You can upload multiples, just under 200 megabytes, which for video, I don't know how that'd be useful. And then here you can see I actually sent the frame 5 items, I think it was 5, to sort of replace ones that I'd found problems with. So this is what I'm doing. I'm cleaning up the posters that have a problem, and then I upload them via an email, and that actually kind of works. But while you're here, you know, in that area, you can actually just play that area as a slideshow, right? So there's five posters in here. So these are the only 5 that display. So you can isolate your slideshows to a particular area, but for most people, you're going to be replacing posters with fixes or adding new ones. And so you want them all to be part of the larger collective. That would be under all, right? So all is internal storage plus this, plus this, plus this, plus this. So here's folders. This actually lets you make a single view, right? So we're gonna make one called test, and then I'm actually going to add, now this isn't a real folder, this is a collection. So if you delete this folder, your files are fine. So I'm gonna go into this area. Now you can actually use the 3-dot menu at the top to do like a select all, then delete, or choose your sorting method by name or by the added date. So you can select all there. That's kind of cool, somewhat useful. And then finally you can add to folder. And that's what we're doing here. So we're gonna add it to the only folder that we have, which is test. And now it's added to test. But you'll notice they're not gone here. You didn't move them. This isn't an organizational thing. All it really is sort of a pointers to the picture. So these are the pointers to the 5 pictures that exist under my email address. And likewise, if we go into all, or I'm sorry, internal storage rather, and we do the same bit, we can select all, and you'll also notice it gets a little bit slow here, and then add to folder. You can do that. But you'll find for some reason that the more you monkey with this thing in terms of organizing, the slower it gets. I mean, you can see here, that's not YouTube buffering. This is really me waiting around. So if you end up getting 500, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 posters, things are gonna get a little slower. But you can do it. You can get everything into one single view. But you already have that, right? You have that with all. So you don't really need a folder unless you're trying to mix posters with family photos, maybe with something else. Maybe you want to, you know, I don't know, take TV and movies and have them segregated. I don't know, but you can see this thing becomes a complete slow dog once you start getting into the folder isolation level. But you can see as you trudge through here, you can see that the 5 posters that I added are indeed here. And of course, the slideshow exists within that area of that folder. So now you have sort of the same thing as using all. But this would only be really useful if you wanted to keep a bunch of different things separated and not just hit all and play, right? So at least it's there. At least there's an option for it should you want to be a little more granular with your organization. All right, and then we can just delete this. I'll just prove to you that you can delete the folder and your items will stay there. I'm just gonna select that folder, hit delete, and you delete the folder and your pictures are all still there. So life is okay. Again, look how slow it is. I don't understand. It's references. I mean, you gotta be deleting a text file or something, right? But anyway, so yeah, those are the things I wanted to share with you. The remote's probably the biggest problem. I don't understand why we don't hear more about it since we've had so many problems with it in my peer group, but there you go. There's still some great things about this frame. I still recommend it. I think that'll wrap it up. That's all I wanted to show you. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Shane R. Monroe. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.